Khagam by Satyajit Ray, Part 4. Dhurjati Babu had killed Imli Baba's pet cobra by pelting it with stones. Immediately after that, Imli Baba had pointed to Dhurjati Babu with his finger and said, "One Balkishan is gone, another will come to take his place." The question was the second Balkishan a snake or a man turned into a snake? What were those diamond-shaped blotches on Dhurjati Babu's skin? What was the red mark on his tongue? Did it mean that his tongue was about to be forked? Why was he so cold to the touch? And why did he crawl under the bed? I suddenly recalled something in a flash. Dhurjati Babu had asked about Khagam. The name had sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place it then. Now I remembered. It was a story I had read in the Mahabharata when I was a boy. Khagam was the name of a sage. His curse had turned his friend into a snake. Khagam, snake, curse, it all fitted. But the friend had turned into a harmless, non-poisonous snake, while this man... Somebody was knocking on the door again. At the foot of the door this time. Once, twice, thrice, I didn't stir out of the bed. I was not going to open the door. Not again. The knocking stopped. I held my breath and waited. There was a hissing sound now, moving away from the door. Then there was silence, except for my pounding heartbeat. What was that sound now? A squeak? No, something between a squeak and a screech. I knew there were rats in the bungalow. I had seen one in my bedroom the very first night. I had told Lakshman, and he had brought a rat trap from the pantry to show me a rat in it. "Not only rats, sir, there are moles too." The screeching had stopped. There was silence again. Minutes passed. I glanced at my watch. 1:45. Sleep had vanished. I could see the trees in the moonlight through my window. The moon was overhead now. There was the sound of a door opening. It was the door of Dhurjati Babu's room which led to the veranda. The door was on the same side as my window. The line of trees was 6 or 7 yards away from the edge of the veranda. Dhurjati Babu was out on the veranda now. Where was he going? What was he up to? I stared fixedly at my window. The hissing was growing louder. Now it was right outside my window. Thank God the window was covered with netting. Something was climbing up the wall towards the window. A head appeared behind the netting. In the dim light of the lantern shone a pair of beady eyes staring fixedly at me. They stayed staring for a minute. Then there was the bark of a dog. The head turned towards the bark and then dropped out of sight. The dog was barking at the top of its voice. I heard its owner shouting at it. The barking turned into a moan and then stopped. Once again there was silence. I kept my senses alert for another 10 minutes or so. The lines of a verse I had heard earlier that night kept coming back to me. Snakes speak when snakes hiss. I know this, I know this. Snakes kill when snakes kiss. I know this, I know this. Then the rhyme grew dim in my mind and I felt a drowsiness stealing over me. I woke up to the sound of agitated English voices. My watch showed 10 minutes to 6. Something was happening. I got up quickly, dressed, and came out on the veranda. A pet dog belonging to 2 English tourists had died during the night. The dog had slept in the bedroom with its owners who hadn't bothered to lock the door. It was surmised that a snake or something equally venomous had got into the room and bitten it. Instead of wasting my time on the dog, I went to the door of Dhurjati Babu's room at the other end of the veranda. The door was ajar and the room empty. Lakshman gets up every morning at 5 to light the stove and put the tea kettle on the boil. I asked him. He said he hadn't seen Dhurjati Babu. All sorts of anxious thoughts ran in my head. I had to find Dhurjati Babu. He couldn't have gone far on foot. but a thorough search of the woods around proved abortive. The jeep arrived at 10:30. I couldn't leave Bharatpur without finding out what had happened to my companion. So I sent a cable to my brother from the post office, got my train ticket postponed by a day, and came back to the rest house to learn that there was still no sign of Dhurjati Babu. The two Englishmen had in the meantime buried their dog and left. I spent the whole afternoon exploring around the rest house. Following my instruction, the jeep arrived again in the afternoon. I was now working on a hunch and had a faint hope of success. I told the driver to drive straight to Imli Baba's hermitage. I reached it about the same time as we did the day before. Baba was seated with the pipe in hand and the fire burning in front of him. There were 2 more disciples with him today. Baba nodded briefly in answer to my greeting. The look in his eyes today held no hint of the blazing intensity that had appeared in them yesterday. I went straight to the point. Did the Baba have any information on the gentleman who came with me yesterday? A gentle smile spread over Baba's face. He said, "Indeed, I have. Your friend has fulfilled my hope. He has brought back my Balkishan to me." I noticed for the first time the stone pot on Baba's right-hand side. The white liquid it contained was obviously milk, but I hadn't come all this way to see a snake and a bowl of milk. I had come in quest of Dhurjati Babu. He couldn't have simply vanished into thin air. If only I could see some sign of his existence. I had noticed earlier that Imli Baba could read one's mind. He took a long pull at the pipe of ganja, passed it on to one of his disciples and said, "I'm afraid you won't find your friend in the state you knew him, but he has left a memento behind. You will find that 50 steps to the south of Balkishan's home. Go carefully. There are thorny bushes around." I went to the hole where the king cobra lived. I was not the least concerned with whether another snake had taken the place of the first one. I took 50 steps south through grass, thorny shrubs and rubble, and reached a bale tree at the foot of which lay something the likes of which I had seen hanging from a line in the Baba's hut a few minutes ago. It was a freshly sloughed off skin marked all over with a pattern of diamonds. But was it really a snake skin? A snake was never that broad, and a snake didn't have arms and legs sticking out of its body. It was actually the sloughed off skin of a man who had ceased to be a man. He was now lying coiled inside that hole. He was a king cobra with poison fangs. There, I could hear him hissing. The sun had just gone down. The Baba was calling, "Balkishan, Balkishan, Balkishan."